2 new pieces on Boots Riley in The New Yorker and The Guardian, and just a consistent refusal to engage with the critique. As for the Ellison name, Riley adds, the only thing Meghan has ever said in relation to that is, I just want you to know I'm not my father, but it's interesting that it's such an issue when BlackRock and Vanguard, major shareholders in Disney and Netflix, as well as Regal, Cinemark, and AMC, also give billions to Israel. So I get the critique. Unless you're saying don't make a movie, don't show it in theaters because they get 50% of the income. Even if you don't make an independent movie, you're still in this business. It's really a liberal critique. Lexi Alexander said, he's right. I get that people think Hollywood's unimportant, but it's not very smart. It's the single most effective tool to dehumanize a people, and Zionists have accomplished exactly that with Palestinians, but you all don't want to help the 3% of filmmakers who aren't Zionists. And honestly, I feel like the reason Boots Riley gets a lot of shit is because he is like the only outspoken communist, like self-ascribed communist. He does not say he's a leftist or so. He says he's a communist. And I think because of that, he gets a lot of shit. He gets a lot of shit from people on the left. And there's something about like there's something about making a target out of the few individuals who are trying to do something, who are not like the 99% of others. And it's like, because they're trying to do something and there's not a lot of them, and so they're more visible, it also increases the target on their backs from people who ostensibly they would be on the same side as. It's also people being super anti-Black. Oh, I have no doubt that plays a role here. But I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing is what Hassan deals with. And you know, I do not think Hassan is perfect, and there are legitimate criticisms and reasonable disagreements, keyword reasonable disagreements to have with him. But tell me why, when I opened up Twitter today, I saw so many tweets from leftists like, finally, Hassan Piker's downfall. I've been praying for this. I'm like, really? Really? You've been praying for the downfall of one of the few prominent leftists in the mainstream? I'm sure if I were to search Boots Riley's name in your tweets, you would also be saying the same thing. And, well, what downfall? I know, what downfall, first of all. But more importantly, why? Why do you have consistently this much smoke? And it really seems to be uneven, right? Like, it's not like you have the same, or at least what you publicly express, same amount of smoke for everybody to the right of someone like Hassan or someone like Boots. And again, I think when you are in that position of being one of the few in the mainstream, it paints a target on your back by people who you have much more ideologically in common with than they would act as. Like they act as if we are enemies here. It's because Hassan replied to ship. I know. And that's why I think it's always better to just not reply. It's better to not reply, because I think people also want a response. And I've noticed that sometimes when I have experienced that, if I either just ignore someone, if I block or ban or ignore, or if I take the fire out of it, and I'm like, why are you saying that in that way? Do you really hate me? Do you really see me as your great enemy out here? I don't think you do. I don't think you do. And sometimes people will be like, yeah, well, Wow, that was a lot. I was coming in real hot, and I didn't need to do that. Yeah, like we can unpack that a little bit. I don't think that's as easy to do on Twitter. I think you can do that more in stream, because I think sometimes too someone thinks typing in a live chat on a live stream that that there's no effect to that. It's just entertainment, leftism, victims of genocide, direction of society, their backdrops of their little projects to get attention or whatever when they're working off of today. And the last thing that I will say is I do always try and have extra grace for Palestinians in any discussions of Zionism and genocide of the Palestinian people. And I do think it's a good reminder for people online to, and this is not identity politics. This is not like, oh, you should never have a disagreement with someone who's Palestinian. This is hey, sometimes you, whoever it is, need to be the one to take a step back, right? Take a step back. And it doesn't matter if there's another person who's agreeing with you and they're Palestinian. Please don't point to them and be like, well, this Palestinian person agrees with me. I don't think that that's a good tactic. And I think like there's a little too much attitude. There's a little too much attitude a lot of times with this issue, specifically how I see it play out on Twitter, and the fight over what liberal Zionism is, who's a liberal Zionist. A lot of fingers get pointed at leftists who are anti-Zionist, but then get called whatever. And I just sometimes just it's good to remember you don't have to respond. You don't have to come in with your 2 cents into the conversation, and you just don't always need to say something. I think there's a lot of online leftists that believe in leftism for anti-establishment reasons, not for reasons based in empathy for others. They're more so leftist because they think it's cool, not because they care. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of like the performance and the kind of aesthetics of it, especially on the internet. But yeah, just remember that not everything needs your take. Not every discussion or argument or whatever you want to call it happening on Twitter or wherever else needs to have all of us be chiming in. And I think it is good to always be practicing having having real grace and empathy and not the performance of it for people who are most directly affected by something that we all that we care about, that we share that collective care of, but not all of us are as directly impacted by it. And I just think that a lot of times what happens is we speak over people, we jump to snark, we get pissed off, we feel righteously we feel righteously pissed off. We feel the need to get the last word in, and we just don't always need to do that. But if I don't fight every battle, my ego deflates. I find as I've gotten into my late 40s that it's easier to remember I don't need to give input all the time. Yeah, I know that that's maybe a radical thought for some people, but I think we've become so accustomed to spending so much time online and spending time online in a way where we are actively participating in ongoing discourse. And it's actually really it's actually really nice to remember that we don't have to jump into everything. Sometimes we can just zip it, and sometimes we should zip it. A little bit of shutting the fuck up. Yeah, a little bit of shutting the fuck up. And you know what? You will find, I promise you, you will find that if you start practicing shutting the fuck up a little bit more, you will feel more peace. You will feel more tranquility because you're not jumping in to the pile and you're not involving yourself. And therefore, people aren't responding to you because you're not involving yourself. I don't give everything my take because I have anxiety. So maybe people should just have a little more anxiety around talking at this point. Yep. For a population that I know is filled with anxiety, not enough people, though, are having their anxiety prevent them from jumping into everything. I sometimes get involved, but still shut the fuck up. Also, being mature enough to know when you need to be quiet because you just don't know. Yeah, and remember, it's always going to be easier to... It's always going to be easier to not have said something than to have said something that you regret or that has now snowballed into something else, and now you have to deal with that. There's just a lot of there's just a lot of things that we are posting online in general that we don't need to be posting. Whether it's involving ourselves in already existing discourse or it's posting something that really never needed to be said, nor should have been said in the first place. Hassan has every reason to flex. And look, he gets a lot of shit, and it's not like he knows the background of every person who's chirping at him. But man, I think it was better when he had deleted Twitter off his phone. He just, I do think that was more productive for him. He had a greater sense of peace. Deleting Twitter off the phone. And that's the thing, though, is as soon as you get it back, then you're right back there. All right, let me see what Nandre is up to. Okay. Hi. Ready? No, literally, I quit that shit so long ago. Yeah, it's like for me, if I have a bag of chips, I'm going to eat that entire bag of chips. So sometimes it's better for me to not buy the chips because otherwise I have to exercise self-control. And I'm not always great about doing that. So sometimes help yourself out and don't even put it in front of you in the first place. All right, let me download Subnautica 2, which I will be playing the co-op with Nandorino. Help yourself out to a bag of, well, not me. Not me, because I look at the bag of chips and I go, oh, I have to eat this entire thing. That's why they made bag this size for me to enjoy the entirety of. It's crazy how we talk about these platforms like drugs and alcohol now. Well, some people have a lot of people have unhealthy behaviors. They do. It's like everything in I'm always a believer of everything in moderation. Learn to engage and consume in as healthy of a way as you can. And if you are not doing that, then you need to take a little break. I'm addicted to chips and dip. It's so bad, but it's so good. But it's so good.